It is great to have you back here at Coin Lady channel. Tell me, dudes, what's happening in America right now? Except for the anti-crypto campaign, that is. The freedom to do anything seems to be severely limited. In the United States, progress in this field of technology and industry is coming to a crawl until some big names get involved. We will take care of that. We will discuss it. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're all enjoying a lovely day or night. We'll jump right in. This post by Brad Garlinghouse and this one from over here were both included in a film I made not long ago. Again, we were expecting crypto to be a big political issue, but this time it's about the Biden campaign's stunning turn in tone. It steps up outreach to the crypto business on May 29th. Why not reach out to the crypto percentage of the U.S. population by being good about it? There are over 50 million U.S. holders of crypto, and it's election year. They want voters, so it's a perfect opportunity. We anticipated that this would be the case when Brad Garth questioned us whether the Biden administration is serious about a change, suggesting that maybe they are now understanding what cryptocurrency is. Asking Gary Gensler to resign is the most crucial thing they can do. This was recently included in a video that I made. Are you ready for this? Within the allotted time frame of, say, 8 hours, this content has already begun to show its age. This comes from the White House at a very crucial time, and to say it is disheartening would be an understatement. Bill to overturn Senate Bill 121 is vetoed by Biden. Refers to a requirement for crypto innovation as a standard. Here we have a measure that would enable highly regulated financial institutions to own Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which President Biden has vetoed. Many people seem to agree that this was a positive development. This is not good. Does it truly make a difference? So far, all we've seen is bills that are pro-crypto and innovative. The vetoes are piling up. It has been put on hold. As a result, it is being neglected. Also, this poses an issue. Now, I noticed something within this breakdown that could be seen as a positive. The last sentence states that the administration is ready to collaborate with Congress to establish a well-rounded regulatory framework for digital assets. This framework will build on existing authorities and encourage the responsible development of digital assets and payment innovations, while also helping to solidify the United States' position as a global financial system leader. To be sure, the veto of the measure itself was widely perceived as a major setback, but I'm taking a look at this final sentence or two because it appears as though Congress is now getting involved. This is great now because, get this? For a long time, we assumed the SEC would stay out of the space regulatory arena. Clarity in the space was going to be brought about by Congress. However, will this really transpire? Will this really take place? We don't know for sure, and it's hard to even state. Yeah, I think it will due to the lack of certainty and the fact that we haven't seen any substantial support from lawmakers in Congress. The outcome is not yet clear. I mean, we're still on the fence about it, but if it works out, I believe this is a great feature. It would be greatly appreciated if they could cooperate with Congress on this if it were to materialize. You may save a ton of time and make a ton of money by taking advantage of this offer. 30 hidden crypto gems that I have investigated thoroughly and am giving you access to for free before the old season time bomb goes off. You can get instant access for free by clicking the link in the description below. At this very moment, there is no cost at all. So, what's your current job? Why are you hesitating? Just like the others that commented below, you may obtain access right now by clicking the link that is located in the description below. So, what am I to make of this? However, the veto of this bill indicates a more systemic issue than the SEC alone. For an extremely long time, and with relative ease, the SEC and Gary Gensler were dragged through the mud, and once again, it was all due to their actions. Operation Choke Point 2.0 was clearly designed to drive away crypto-native enterprises and bring in major traditional organizations. If we travel back in time to June, we can see that this was the case if the BlackRock Spot ETF application was granted. That are working hand in hand with the U.S. government to attempt to regulate cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. Do you all recall what was going on at this time? For the simple reason that numerous prominent figures attempted to get an exchange-traded fund, ETF, based on Bitcoin before BlackRock intervened with their ETF application, but none of them were successful. Almost as soon as BlackRock arrived, the street began to take notice, and by January, roughly 6 months later, we had received the green light. It seems like the system is set up to benefit large firms and trading giants at the expense of smaller competitors. Those who aren't already major players in the financial sector are being pushed out of the market and left to fend for themselves. This poses a significant issue. Moving on from the subject of this piece. Do any of you recall this post from January? It was about Custodia banks and Motion Huge. This is something I wanted to bring back because I want you all to see the genuine deal, so props to Metal All Dude for it. Since it's convenient to place the blame on SEC member Gary Gensler, we know there's a far larger issue at hand. In its war on cryptocurrency, the Federal Reserve is leading Operation Choke Point 2.0, and it's not just the SEC. The Federal Reserve was the target of a lawsuit filed by Custodial Bank after the latter rejected the former's request for a Fed master account. In essence, it's a bank account that banks may use to clear checks, send wire transfers, and receive ACH payments through the Federal Reserve System. Our status as a custodia as a Wyoming charter depository institution satisfies the federal legislation that mandates the Fed to provide master accounts to all federal or state charter depository institutions. The standard processing time for a master account approval by a Fed is 5 to 7 days. They consider it, even though the Fed has been silent on its master account application for the past 20 months. The usual duration is 5 to 7 days, and the projected duration is 20 months, guys. A major issue has arisen. Therefore, Custodia had no choice but to file a lawsuit against the federal. 8 months following the lawsuit's filing, the Federal Reserve still hasn't granted control of his master account application. Custodia has uncovered some intriguing data in its discovery process against the Kansas City Fed and the main Fed in D.C., a complex web of interconnected issues. This is reminiscent of how the SEC handled the Coinbase petition for rulemaking. Indeed, the Kansas City Fed examined Custodia thoroughly in relation to its master account application and reported its results to the main Fed in Washington, D.C. Everything you need to know about the government's veracity is contained in this report, which details what happened. Since the government is taking an interest in cryptocurrency, we can bring our expertise in capital, risk, and liquidity management to the table. I won't bother reading it all since, frankly, I don't care if you guys have to deal with me. Put simply, they were claiming that Custodia Bank did not have sufficient capital. Well, they weren't. Their risk management was top-notch, wasn't it? What matters most, though, is comparing the Fed in Washington, D.C. with the one in Kansas City, isn't it? Capital is one such example. The Federal Reserve in Washington, D.C. found a lack of a strong framework for capital requirements and risk management, whereas the Kansas City Fed found sufficient capital. Strong risk management was reported by Kansas City, whereas significant risk management was reported by the Fed and D.C. Money shortages, liquidity risk was deemed quite moderate by the Kansas City Federal. This makes sense, considering that custody utilizes a fully reserved model instead of a fractional reserve model. However, the Federal Reserve in Washington, D.C. claimed that there were inadequate procedures for managing liquidity risk, and the Fed in Kansas City had impressive and extensive managerial experience, while the Fed in Washington, D.C. claimed a lack of collective depth in relevant banking knowledge. So, when we take a closer look, we see that the Federal Reserve in Washington, D.C. stated the exact opposite of what the Federal Reserve in Kansas City, Missouri, was stating and what they decided. What gives? Since the Federal Reserve had reservations about the custodian's intention to offer banking and digital asset services to crypto-related persons and companies, it is clear from the discovery papers that the process was rigged. What do you all think happened to Ripple and Xrp? I want to know your thoughts on this. Using Xrp? Why do you think Custodia Bank, a prominent digital asset bank, brought up Ripple and Xrp in this context? They seem to be very pro-crypto and digital asset. Please tell me your opinion on this. The video ends there. As always, I'd appreciate it if you could subscribe and leave a comment with your opinions. Coming up shortly, farewell.